Welcome to Change Makers of the World. Each one of you is a change maker. How? I think we all understand now. If we want to change something, we have the power to change it. And if I can bring about a change, I can see the change in the world. What we see in the news today, what is the media highlighting today? Often we hear about wars, terrorist attacks, tensions growing between countries. You see, anywhere, it often appears that we are at a brink of war. Not as big as a world war, but still war in some place. If you look at recent history, we see the Afghanistan war, we see the Iraq war, more recently we are seeing ISIS. We are seeing wars not happening at some places, but tensions growing. Tension between countries, you would see a tension between North Korea and South Korea, tension between China and Japan, tension between India and Pakistan, tension when Russia occupied Crimea, tension in African countries, the Arab Spring, the revolution in Turkey and Egypt. If we go on starting counting these things, there's still so many unaccounted for. On a domestic scale, there is warlike violence, there's genocide, so many other things that we are seeing every day. Is it really happening because of us? Do we have a hand in this? I would say no, I am totally innocent. This is something that we would explore today in Change. What has changed the world today? Why is so much of violence breeding in the human race? What changed for us to become violent like this? Why are thousands of people protesting on the streets? What is it? Religions that were once to teach us peace have become the cause of war, at least cause of war in the minds of men. Like the UNESCO Charter states, war begins in the minds of men. If it is true, do we have to change our minds today? And to mind this, we have Rajyogini Brahmakumari, Sister Usha. Didi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
When I was speaking this thing, there's so much going in my head. War, nobody likes it really. But for political reasons or for monetary reasons, for gains in terms of territory, war has happened ever since the history of humanity was written. As long as we go back to the written history of humanity, there is war. And war, I think, is the ultimate weapon of destruction. It is the highest level of violence.
Yes.
And like we were talking about the UNESCO Charter, which says about war begins in the minds of men.
Yeah.
So why does war begin at all in the first place?
It is because there are some people who have this dream of like ruling the whole world. And they feel as if it can only happen if people will fight amongst themselves, then maybe we can become the rulers of the world. And that is why this whole thing is coming up. Because creating that feeling of fear in people, that is what they aim at. Because today they are not capable enough to win the hearts of people. So wars are created in their minds. And that is how they put the seed in the minds of so many people, so that they fight. There's violence, there is all this, and then they feel we will be the rulers. Because the capacity to win the hearts of all, and where everybody will appreciate and welcome them and accept them as their leader, it's not possible. Because they don't have those values. Like we see all the great personalities, those who became source of inspiration, they won the hearts of people. And even crossing all the boundaries, they are ruling the hearts of people. But this is not possible for the people of today, because they know there is so much of viciousness in their minds. There is so much of negativity in their minds. And with this negativity, nobody can become conquerors of hearts. So they feel, let us attack here. And this is why they sow the seeds there. But they forget, by creating such terror in the world, or by creating such situation in the world, the law of karma is nowhere going to accept them as being the rulers of the world. It's impossible. Anything that is done with a negative way is going to yield negativity. The karmic accounts is, as we saw in the previous episode, what I give, I get. It's going to come back to me. So if I'm going to give terror to the world, that terror is going to come back to me, which creates more terror. And this is how it's not going to end. It reminds me that initially in India also there were some dacoits. And when they had this feeling, let us be the rulers. So they started creating terror in the people. They started stealing things from people. And this is how they thought we will be the rulers. But ultimately, they realized that when they were behind the bars in the prison, that's when some great leaders came out to them and they made them surrender their arms with love. And they melted, surrendered, and came forward. Okay, we want to bring a change in our life. So anything that goes to that extreme has to revert back. Because everybody is going to be fed up of all that. So it reminds me that those dacoits, 500 dacoits, when Jayaprakash Narayan, he made them surrender their arms. And he made them surrender and assured them that you will be protected, nothing will happen to you. We will see to that. And that is how they shared their story. We were fed up of this violence. Every day looting one village, two villages, another village. And we had everything, all the riches and wealth. But for what?
But we still wanted to do it because...
Yes. They had no other alternate. That's why. Because they had moved in that direction and they were gone so ahead that maybe it was difficult for them to come back and lead a normal life like others. And as if that intoxication of killing and murdering and all that, it was like on their heads. So when they surrendered their arms and started leading a normal life like people, that's when they realized the beauty of life. Without any terror, without any fear, without any say, what can we do now? So now they turned out to be good citizens.
Like you said about these things, when somebody goes into an excess of something, that is when the person realizes that this is not leading you anywhere.
Yes.
To imagine that change would happen only when people would go to the extreme and then they realize that I've nothing left more and I want to come back. And lucky if they would get an opportunity to come back, and they do come back.
Yeah.
When I look at other things, when we see about what is happening in the world today, when you're talking about the intoxication of killing people, they just are on a rage to kill people. Terrorism, like you said, is people want to create fear in the minds of other people so that they can have control of them or rule over them, no matter for how long. Today we see on television, in news, we see that there are small children who have been handed guns.
Recently in United States, a young boy of 10 years, from somewhere got a gun. And he took that gun to the school and killed. Whoever came in the way, he shot. Some students, some teachers, till all the bullets were out. Finally, they got hold of him and they asked him, "Why did you do this?" And you know what the answer was? For fun. For fun. Because nowadays, some children from childhood, they've been watching action movies. They don't like seeing cartoons anymore.
This is where I would want to stop you. There have been several movies on the school killings.
Yes.
This is not the first time America has had things like that. School killings where school-going kids would take up guns and the massacres, mass killings in schools. And many people have survived. They have recorded their stories of change, their stories of survival, but there are also stories of why these people got into these things. Like you said, that no longer children want to watch cartoons or animated movies about values or stuff. But then there is a new trend of video games, where the games about where you are virtually killing other person.
Yes, and violence. And they feel, oh, it's just like fun. We play, and then again the person would be alive, which does not happen in real life. They don't understand that.
Even the news channels, I see there are some people who are addicted to news. They would just sit and watch and watch and watch, consume it. They do not realize that we are consuming this news, we are consuming this information.
Negativity.
Yes. And I think this is where, when we consume violence, when we consume terror, I think that becomes a part of our mindset, in life.
Our life also. And our thinking starts in that direction. Our feelings are also generated of that fear and terror. And that is going to lead us to that place. That sometimes we also would pick up guns because they feel that's the only way to keep ourselves safe. Nobody wants to die. Everybody feels, I want to protect myself. And that is where they tend to get into this sort of thinking, and they feel this is the only way I can save myself. So somewhere, as it is said that the wars are born in the minds of men, similarly, if I can generate peace in the minds of men, we are able to change from this attitude of violence and negativity. I can change into positivity and peace.
Before we move on to how this could be changed, let's talk about what else is happening in the world. When we talk about bomb attacks, suicide bombers and stuff, most often it is seen that these suicide bombers were not old people.
No.
They were young ones.
Young ones.
It is more alarming today to the concern, how could somebody so young have such violence in one's heart?
Maybe certain amount of money was given to their family because of the poverty that they were going through and experiencing. So one has this feeling that, okay, let me give up my life if my family members can enjoy their life at least. So out of pressure or out of maybe the need towards getting money.
It is documented history. Out of all the wars waged by humanity, the largest numbers of war was waged in the name of God, just to prove that my religion is superior than yours. And it still hasn't stopped. Just this feeling of what I believe is greater than you or greater than your belief allows me to kill you.
This is because in the name of religion also, what is fed in the minds of people is all negative. And that is why to just bring that, okay, we have to be the superior. We have to be the ones who can be maximum in this world. We can become the majority in the world. I think this attitude needs to be changed. And for that, I think that positive feeding is a necessity now. Until and unless we do not feed positive in the minds of people, we don't take them beyond this feeling of competition, jealousy, hatred. Until and unless we don't take them beyond this by feeding positive in the young generation, till then, the minds are going to be really, really perverted.
When you talk about feeding positivity and feeding peace, because the opposite of war is peace, is what many people think, but it is not exactly true. Because the opposite of war is ceasefire.
Yes.
But peace is a state of perpetual joy. It's about not having any conflict at all. But now, when we talk about this, about feeding this thing of cultivating peace and feeding positivity, where do we start? How do we bring this peace? War is happening at the border. It is happening between two countries. It's happening with ISIS. It's happening somewhere in a different corner of the world, which I have no role to play in it. Am I responsible?
Yes, we are responsible, because somewhere, if I cannot be a peace agent, I am supporting war and violence. Now we need to take a U-turn in practical world also, and move or march towards peace. I believe the young generation would have this feeling, destroy religion at all, so that no difference in caste, creed, and let us be one human world. So when we come under this feeling, the world as one family, one God, one world, one family, so that we are able to create this fraternity amongst all on the basis of spiritual understanding. Because that's the only way we can do it, where we can unite all the religions together, we can bring them together.
That we can understand that the underlying principle of all religions are the same.
Then, one God, one world, one family. Let us establish this notion, bring this change, live as one family.
The idea of oneness is so innate to India. It talks about the universal family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the whole world is one family. No matter how different we look, no matter what color we are, no matter what our food styles are, no matter what we eat, what we dress up like, I think everybody feels the same emotion.
Once a human bomb was caught alive, they defused the bomb, and then they asked that boy, it was a young boy, so they asked him, why did you want to kill? Why did you want to die? Why did you become a human bomber? And he wanted to kill so many people. Why? And you know what he said? Because since childhood, nobody has loved me. I'm also a human being. I wanted love. But wherever I went, I got hatred. I got beatings. What's the use for me to live in this world? That's why I wanted to die and I wanted to kill. That was the answer. So because of love, you're going to kill everyone?
For the want of love, you are generating hatred.
Hatred.
This is just opposite of what you want.
Yeah.
If you want love, then go to love.
Yeah.
But you want love and you're going to hatred, how could love come to you?
Yeah, definitely. So this is the equation we need to explain and make people understand, that through wars, there can never be peace. Through hatred, there can never be love. Through negativities, no positive feelings are going to come about in this world.
So what is really needed now is we feed ourselves to positivity.
Yes.
There might be wars happening in the world, there might be attacks happening, there will be so many other things, negative things happening. But the more we go on feeding ourselves on it, the more we would be drawn to it, the more we would be mentally, emotionally, spiritually contributing the same thing. And if we contribute with the feelings of peace, love, from wherever we are, I think we could contribute to create a better world, to reducing the violence in the minds of men.
I believe each and everyone expects love, expects respect, expects good things in life. But the road they choose is of negativity. And the road you travel, that's what you're going to get. You can never get happiness. You can never get love. You can never get peace by traveling on a road of negativity.
True. And most of the times when people give the reasons of why are we fighting is because we want to settle it out once and for all.
Yeah.
Because we want peace. That is the reason we want war. And war can never give you peace. The only way to peace is peace itself. And it was very rightly said that peace is only the way. And we have understood today that for violence and for the wars that we see in the world, we are responsible, and we can change that by cultivating peace inside.
Yes.
By bringing about a culture of peace inside us, by not feeding negativity, to moving our minds to something positive, to move the minds of our children, to move the minds of the young ones to positivity and peace. By cultivating this thing, we can really come to terms to peace, and we can have a possible solution to war and violence in our world as we see it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for those insights, Didi.
Thanks.
This was about war, peace, and violence. Most often when we seek solutions outside, and yet the solutions lie deep-rooted within. It is not a rocket science to understand that the answer to war is not war. If we want peace, you have to practice peace. If you practice violence, violence is what would you get. These timeless principles have guided humanity for centuries, and yet we fail to grasp the deepness of these understandings. Let's make a change. Let's begin to practice peace. Let's begin to practice and feed positivity to everyone around us. And then let's see how peaceful our world can be. That's all on this episode of Change. We'll see you again. Till then, take care.